Hello, third grade artists. We're going to make a heart mosaic today. So you're going to need some different colors of paper. I have one big piece of paper and then some smaller pieces. I'm going to set the smaller pieces aside. If you don't have any colored paper, you can always color a piece of white paper first so you have something more colorful. Or I guess you could just add some white tiles to your mosaic as well. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to turn this paper into a heart. So I'm going to fold it in half into kind of what we call a hamburger fold sometimes, or like a book fold. So we're bringing the short side to the short side and creasing it. Keep it creased. All right, you're going to keep your paper folded, and we're going to cut out a heart. So to make sure our two sides of the heart are the same size, we're going to keep this folded, and then on the crease, so not the side that opens up, the crease side, I'm going to start a couple inches down from the top of the paper, and I'm going to draw a big kind of curve shape. It's half a heart. I hope you can see it, but I started a couple inches down from the top and drew kind of an angled line that curves around all the way down to the bottom corner. Now we're going to keep that folded and cut it out. We want a nice big heart because we want to have lots of room to put our mosaic pieces. So I'm going to cut that and open it up. And here we have this lovely heart. Now I have some other colors of paper. I just brought red and white paper with me. So I'm going to start with red. And we're trying to cut some kind of like small geometric shapes. We want them to be geometric. So like squares, triangles, rectangles, so that they fit together. You could have like circle shapes too, but I'm going to try to keep mine more with sharper corners because I think they'll fit together better. So I'm starting with some red and I'm cutting like skinny strips and then sort of cutting them into little squares. I think I'll do some white triangles next. So to do that, we're going to start the same way. I'm going to cut a little strip of paper. I'm cutting through two papers, so I'm going to end up with two at once. I like to do that trick to make things go a little quicker. And I'm going to start by cutting these into squares. And then I'm going to cut my square on the diagonal. So I'm cutting it in half, except I'm not cutting it in half straight across like that to make two rectangles. I'm cutting it in half on the diagonal so that I have little triangles. Another way you could do this with your skinny strips is that you could sort of just cut on the diagonal as you go. So I'm cutting like a straight line, diagonal line, straight line, diagonal line, just so I get lots of pieces to work with because this is a pretty big surface area to fill and I want to have enough little pieces. So I'm going to start arranging my pattern. It's important to kind of make a plan first when you're doing anything really, right? So my plan is to lay out these red squares around the border of my heart. All right, third grade artist. I made it a little ways around. I think I like how this looks, so I'm going to start gluing. And I think my plan is that I'm going to try to put some dots around the corner of my art first, and then I can stick the pieces on. We got to be careful when doing this way just because I don't want to put them too close together and then like run out of space. So I'm going to start to really carefully organize all these little pieces on those little glue dots that I just made. In order for your mosaic to look really well planned and put together, it's important that you put your pieces kind of close together. So you don't want to have like big spaces in between all of your little mosaic tiles because then it's going to look like you didn't plan very well, right? So I'm going to keep putting these around. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a tiny bit of glue on my finger so I can touch a piece and it'll stick to my finger and then I can kind of put it back on. So we're going to keep repeating this process and we're going to fill in the whole center of this. Oh, I ran out of glue dots. The whole center of this mosaic with different colored tiles. So I'm going to finish the border and then start to plan where my triangles are going to go. All right, let's talk about when we have a little bit open spaces. They're a little too big for like my big piece. I think that I am going to cut some smaller so that they fit in that space because I think it's more important for your mosaic to look like it's filled well, meaning that there's a lot of pieces that fit together nicely. I think that's more important than making sure every little tile is the same size. So I'm going to add some like littler tiles in here to fill some of these spots where I didn't really plan, I guess, the best shape for these. They're a little too big. The gaps are too big, so I'm going to fill in the gaps. Now, let's think about how triangles can fit together because I have a lot of these little triangles. Now, we could put them back to back so that they kind of make kind of like a diamond shape. Or maybe, what else? Maybe we could have them point around each spot here and sort of fit together like a little zigzag. Let's see if I can get my fingers to do it. And then we could create kind of like another line around. I really think I'm going to try something different and I'm going to line them up sort of like long side to long side to make these kind of diamond shapes. I'm going to make a couple lines. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add some triangle lines and continue to fill in all this open space.
Nope.
All right, I've added quite a few triangles. I was thinking maybe I want to add some shapes that are like a little bit larger to sort of fill in some of these bigger gaps because it is a lot to cut so many tiny pieces and it's okay to have a couple pieces that are a little bigger. So I'm going to cut a shape that sort of fills in this space with kind of like one big piece. So I'm going to fold my paper in half and sort of make a little plan. This time I'm putting the crease on the side that I'm drawing because I'm trying to make two of these shapes because I'm going to try to kind of fill them in those spaces. So I sketched out kind of another half heart kind of shape with my paper folded. I'll cut that again. Probably better to start a little bigger and then I can always trim it to size. So that's going to fit in there. And then this one on that side, I actually really like how that looks. I thought I might want to trim it a little bit, but I'm happy with that. So remember when you're gluing, you don't need a lot of glue and just tiny bits, tiny couple drops. It'll make your art look better. It'll make your art dry faster. There we go. I'm not sure if I'm totally finished yet. I still feel like I could fit a little bit more in here. And it's not going to be symmetrical where the two sides are the same, but I think that's okay. I kind of like that it has a little more color here. So let me finish up my last little bits. And then this mosaic will be complete. I can't wait to see what you come up with. Ta-da! All secure. All right, third grade, happy creating.